bottles, Debourges, Sancerre, and a 2018 Villa Antinori, Toscana. Both of these wines were purchased at Costco. Last year, we did a 4-episode series, numbers 92 through 96 of Wines to Find, on wines from Costco and Trader Joe's, in which we tried several of the Costco brand Kirkland and popular wines that were sold at Trader Joe's and popular wines that were sold at Costco. We did some research on those, and so if you wanted to check out those episodes, you could, but we thought it'd be fun to revisit this and have a little bit more, tell you about some wines that we've had throughout the year since then, and specifically focus on these two and tell you why we chose them. So
exactly. We always like to find wines that are of good value and at a good price, and being able to source them through Costco particularly is a great place to be able to do that.
And we'll tell you a little bit about why that is in a few minutes, but let's get to wine number 1. This is a 2020 Charles Debourges Sancerre. And Sandy loves Sauvignon Blanc. We've talked about Sauvignon Blanc a lot, but we've never had a Sancerre on Wines to Find before.
Oh, really?
I don't think so. I'd have to go back. Somebody could fact check us, but I'm pretty certain not.
Well, I know I've put them on Instagram and that kind of thing, but I did not realize we haven't highlighted a Sancerre on Wines to Find. And I think that one of the reasons why I like Sancerre is because I was not a Chardonnay fan. So Sancerre was one of the next grape. But since then, and now I know that there are other grapes that have that same quality, which I now know that it's not just Sancerre that I like. I like cool climate wines, cool climate grapes. And so this happened to be one of the first ones that
you kind of knew that
I gravitated towards and I recognized. So that's one of the things now that I know more. I don't have to always go to Sauvignon Blanc.
To that tried and true.
Exactly. So
right.
let's go ahead and look at this. It looks very
super duper pale. It's not pink. We've got some light behind us, but it is. I would say it's straw. It is on the light end of straw.
Very light in color.
Now,
on the nose, it's very grapefruity. Wow.
Well, I was going to say they're known for their aromatics. They're known for their chalkiness and flintiness, and the nose.
Definitely lots of mineral and citrus. And it is grapefruit, which whenever you think of Sauvignon Blanc, think of New Zealand as that really true grapefruit, whereas Sancerre, it's typically a lot more tropical fruits than New Zealand style. But this, I get a lot of that citrus.
It is, but it's understated. It's citrus without the acidic punch. It's a little bit softer.
It is.
So I actually am enjoying it because of that. One of the reasons when I was walking by and when we decided we were going to do Costco again, or feature some wines from Costco, I've seen this Sancerre there a few times, and I've always been kind of intrigued by it. It's like $20, $18, $19. And the thing about Sancerre is because it's such a well-known area, it's in the Loire Valley. Aside from the big ones, which would be Bordeaux and Chardonnay and Champagne, Sancerre is one of those recognizable
Okay, I have to tell you a story.
Okay.
You're talking about Sancerre and being recognizable. Well, it's kind of like, oh, I only drink Sancerre. I don't like Sauvignon Blanc. It's the same thing when people say, I don't like Chardonnay. I only drink Chablis. It's one of the, don't be a wine snob.
Yeah.
Because it's actually the same thing.
Yes. So. But because it's one of those well-known names from France, they tend to carry a hefty price tag. So that's one of the reasons why it's one that I haven't delved in, because I am not the big Sauvignon Blanc drinker. And I certainly don't want to drop $40, $50 on one just to say, oh, I had a Sancerre. So I would walk by this bottle of wine at Costco. It is one that is typically there. And I'd be like, I really want to try it. So we're trying it. So I'm super glad to be able to share our experience of trying it with y'all.
Very good. Very good.
But one thing that we did learn about the appellation is, again, they're known for chalky limestone clay. The minerality is very popular, or is a very popular component. When you hear the Sancerre, a lot of times what they'll talk about is that minerality. So when we taste that, do we want to talk about what that is that we're bringing out?
I don't know what you're trying to ask me.
Much like when we talked about with If You Like This, Try This episodes, and we talked about stone fruit and how people describe stone fruit, and then it's like, well, what the heck is a stone fruit? When we
So you're talking about minerality, how that is.
Let's talk about
if it's like if you taste any stone, what kind of like if right after a rainfall too, you can almost smell it in the air, even though it's not in the air. It's that same concept. And the minerality, there are not minerals that are crushed up in this wine. It's just that feeling of lightness, brightness within it. I don't know. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, exactly. So because that's a often used wine term that if you're it's just going to blow right by you if it means nothing to you. Like when you smell a rock, like you were saying, when you smell that
smell
rain.
the air after it rains, and then you smell the rock, and then or even if you imagine, when you're a kid and you lick the rock. I mean,
you can if you want. So I've actually heard of Psalms doing that, putting some rocks in their mouth to get that, but we aren't going to do it. Maybe if we get desperate for some Instagram content, we might, but I don't think so. But anyway, it's flinty. It's like essence of the earth, but not in a forest way, in a rock dirt way. Is that
more riverish?
Yeah, riverbed type thing. So thought it would be fun to talk about that. Mineral water sometimes, but I don't often think that mineral water carries a component. But if you like a Topo Chico or a San Pellegrino, maybe you can take some elements of that water. I really think in the Sauvignon Blanc Sancerres, you can taste that flintiness or the limestone. And so being able to describe it and just saying minerals isn't always. I try to give folks an idea of what's behind those words.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, in the research that we did on those episodes previously on Costco, what we learned about Costco and Trader Joe's, but mainly Costco, is the buying power that this company has.
Before we leave the topic of Sancerre, I think that this is one of those grapes that would be beneficial whenever you're starting to learn about wine, since you were talking about wine words to learn and know. This is one of those things that tasting a grape from different regions. So the Sancerre region is classic. Try the Sauvignon Blanc from there. And then in comparison with a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, from a Sauvignon Blanc from California, from South Africa. Try the different regions, and that will even give you an idea as far as what terroir will do to really help you identify the grape even more and what it tastes like. So try that as you're starting to really delve into what wine terms mean and how to explore grapes more. This is a great one to be able to do that. So kick it off with Sancerre, hop over to New Zealand, and then other areas within the world. So you were saying, Michelle, that Costco is a great way or a great place to source inexpensive wines with great quality. Can you tell us a little bit more of that?
Not always inexpensive. I mean, they do
have some high end.
They do have some high end, but because of that buying power, their buyers walk in and they do have good buyers, and they know their wine, and they're looking for high quality that they can get a good amount of, but that are reasonably and affordably priced for their consumers, because that's why people go to these box stores. And I think they do an excellent job of that. They do have a great whomever runs their buying system, they have a good palate, and they do good selections. What they also have sometimes is they'll buy from and when we get to wine number 2, we can talk a little bit more about ones that it's right there on the label, but some of their wines are from more well-known producers, but they have a different label. So they've made a behind-the-scenes deal with well-known. This when I researched this Charles Debourges, there's not a lot of information about this. I think this is probably a private label situation where they bought a lot of juice and put a label on it that's not very well recognized. But some of that's actually topics of Forbes magazine has done it. Other magazines have done, what's the secret behind the Costco label?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's to spend a bunch of money, because if you just walk into a store, like a wine store and say, I want to try a Sancerre, your buy-in price is going to be kind of high. And you might not want to start at the top of the line. You want to start at something reasonably priced. And then if you like it, go, okay, I want to delve more into that, which is why I think that Costco is a good resource for those types. And other wines that we've gotten from there, we actually did a Costco run back after we did these episodes, my husband and I.
I forgot.
And we bought a whole bunch of we just wanted reasonable wines, and we wanted them to be representations of where they're from, so as a baseline. So we got this Gigondas that back in December, still hadn't drank it, so it's good for us. And a Gigondas is an area, and you can kind of see it, it's Kirkland. So Kirkland is the Costco label. So this is one of those, they didn't actually make this wine. It's a private label. They've sourced it from somebody else, and they put their name on it. So we don't know who the producer is, but we know that Gigondas is an area in the Rhine Valley that is well known. It's actually below the Rhine Valley. It's like adjacent to. So if you like your Chateauneuf de Pops, you might want to try a Gigondas. So we got this in the, not Rhine, Rhone.
I was wondering. I was like, was this a new area?
No, the Rhone. It's in the Rhone. So it's a little bit Rhone adjacent. But what you get is it's a good representation, again, of something that if you like it, then you go, okay, well, and these tend to be a little bit pricier. So if you don't want to spend that money up front, try this. Seems like something you might want to explore some more, then you can go and really
Value hunt.
Did the same thing. Now, what we also do on these is we'll Vivino. So we get our trusty app out and we scan it. This one is a Zolo Reserve. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, but it is from Mendoza. And, we were looking again. We had a price point. We were not going to go, I think it was 15 or less. And we wanted to be in Vivino in that. When you scroll down the Vivino, when you scan a wine, you want to look at the percents, and it has to be, for us to buy it, we want it to be in like a low, under 10%. So it's, when you look at the region and in the world, it's under that. So
that's the criteria I use also.
Yeah. Basically, what we want is it to be a good representation of a wine from that area.
The typicity, the typical of the region.
Right. So that's a wine word. Say it again.
Typicity.
That means it's typical of the region from which the wine comes.
Yes.
Very good. Vocabulary lesson. All right. Do we want to move on?
What about this one?
I was going to let you talk about that one because you found that one.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and do it while we're talking about it now. Okay. This is a Cava Anna de Coronado, I believe is how you say it. I was shopping for a wine event that we were doing, and I wanted to get a good little easy drinking sparkling wine for the beginning of the event. And I came across this, and it was like under $10. I think it was like
$7.99.
Yeah,
like
I knew
it's
it was
crazy.
inexpensive, but boy, the flavor just comes out. Great bubbles. It's a little bit medium-sized bubble beads, and good and fruity with a little bit of yeast. I thought it was a great crowd pleaser. So that was a very good buy.
Well, and that was, and speaking of the crowd, everybody asked us, well, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And so it was so much fun to be able to say, well, would you believe it? Costco, and for under $10.
Yep. So perfect. While we're talking about good finds, there is a blogger that you guys may want to check out that really focuses on finding those values. The name of the blogger is Reverse Wine Snob, and he's come up with this whole rating system that helps to be able to identify if it's within his range. Just like Michelle was saying, that she looks, okay, I have a price point under this, and I use Vivino. If it's 10% of the world, 10% of the region, under that, then she knows that that's in her realm. She wants to get it. So he kind of devised his plan, whereas if it had a high rating, let's say this one had a 94 point from Jeb Dunnick. Okay, but
I'd buy it.
but would you buy it if it was $100? So some 94 points do come, and they're only $15. Mm-hmm. So he takes the price point and then that 100-point rating and massages it so that it's within his buying power.
He's found his sweet spot, and then he reviews them based on that.
Kind of like when we first started our wine podcast, we said, okay, we want to be able to source wines under $30 and over the 90 point for a critic, over 90 points. And that kind of gives us an idea as far as what we want to do, because you can have a $100 bottle of wine that's 90 points and a $15 bottle of wine that's 94 points. So, but you have to remember that that's also they're not comparing apples and apples with that. So you have to really stop and think about what you're looking at, what you're thinking about. But to me, this Reverse Wine Snob really gives you a resource for finding deals at Costco and Trader Joe's that you can use your wine buying power.
And he has focused solely on those 2 locations? Or?
No, he has it in other locations too. But he updates his list from those 2 particular locations every year.
Okay, so he does an annual report on Costco and Trader Joe. So that's a good resource if you shop in those stores to check out that Reverse Wine Snob. Okay. All right, well, let's check out wine number 2.
All righty.
Let's switch my glass.
The glass. It's very opaque.
And it's got some, it's maybe garnet. It's
don't
garnet
think
at the edges.
Yeah.
It's definitely got some good color to it. Rich color.
Berry on the nose. Maybe red fruit more than black fruit. Blackberries. Definitely tobacco.
The smell is very rich. It's deep and it's flavorful.
And it smells jammy. You can tell the fruit smells riper. Let's go ahead and taste. Some tannins on there, a little bit of grip, medium tannins. I would not say full-fledged. Oh, I don't know. That's starting to very much dry out my tongue.
It's we'll have to get to the ratings, but this is a Villa Antinori Toscana. And this one is super exciting to me because as I'm going to my little Costco thing, I knew about this winery. And this is one of those where if you know your labels, then when you see something you go, oh, that's something I want to try. Because Villa Antinori is one of the oldest and most well-known wine makers in Italy. They go back, it's made under the Marchesi Antinori label, and they have made prestigious wines and that family has been making wines for 26 generations.
Wow, that's old.
They go back to 1385. The first labeled winemaker in their family was Giovanni Piero Antinori. And in 1385, he became a member of the Florentine Winemaking Guild, and that established their history. They, the way that I found out about them was I was sourcing wine for a special occasion, and there was a bottle of wine on an end cap at one of the stores that I go to. The end caps are where the sale deals are.
Yeah.
And I ended up talking to the wine retailer about it, and he was like, "Oh, well, this is their California label, Antica." But they're well known in Italy and blah blah blah, and so that was like years and years ago, and it was one of the best Chardonnays I've ever had.
Okay.
And I always go back to that one as like a benchmark for Chardonnay for myself in terms of how I experienced it and what I enjoyed about it. So when I'm going through and I saw the name Villa Antinori with a like under 50, it was like $17 max.
Okay, so this
price
was
label.
$17, $18?
Yeah, and so I went, oh, that's what I'm going to do, because I thought, okay, well, when you have your bottom shelf, your top shelf, when you have a large producer like that, they have a wide range. This is going to be a good way to buy into that and go, okay, do I even want to spend any more money on a higher level?
Do you like that wine? Do you like the way those winemakers? It's more than one winemaker
in the hand of the winemakers.
Yeah. Do I enjoy their style? Do I enjoy the way they produce the wine? And if it's a yes, then you could explore it more.
You can explore spending a little bit more money. And this particular wine has been being made since 1928. So this is one of theirs. It's in their wheelhouse. They've been doing it for a long time, and it's just one of their bread and butters. So and that did concern me because it's going to be a little bit more on the mass produced side. It's going to be a little bit more. I don't want to use the word generic, but it's going to be a little bit more generic. But I knew enough about the family, and so they have 7 estates in Italy that they make wine under, and they also have 7 estates outside of Italy across the world. 2 in California. You've got the Antica one that maybe you may not have heard of, but the other one that they have in California that they own is Stag's Leap.
Oh.
Many folks have heard of that one. So their other winemaking areas are Washington State, Chile, Hungary. I don't even know where that is, but they make wine there.
I don't know.
Malta and Romania. So they are making wine all over the world. And for $15, $16 at Costco, this was a great find to just kind of go, oh, well, I've tried 2 of their wines.
And you've enjoyed them. So that tells you whenever you see it on maybe on a restaurant list, that ends up helping you with that. So just getting to know these producers, that way when you do see deals or maybe even a bottle that's a little bit higher
that end cap.
or higher in price, and you go, well, should I try it? The likelihood of it being good is greater.
Higher, yeah. So Antinori is a name to know in the wine world, and I am so glad that I was able to grab it at a deal at Costco.
Yeah.
So that's to me, that's the beauty of these big box stores, that you can get they have that knowledge and know-how and that buying power to go in and buy it at a good rate to pass along to their consumers. So then you can experience good wine, good quality wine at good pricing.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. Are we ready to jump right into our ratings?
Sure. Yeah. We're going to talk about if we like them or not. Speaking of good quality wine and ratings. So first up, we had wine number 1, which was the Sancerre.
For $18, I definitely would revisit this bottle again. I'm going to give it a 4.
I would give it a 4 too. A lot of times what I have noticed about the Sancerre Sauvignon Blanc craze and enthusiasm is it's really, really veered so much towards the grapefruit. Like years and years ago, I thought it was neat when I could taste a little hint of grapefruit, but then it got like it was knocking you over the head with it.
Well, everything is in cycles. You like it, so they want to give you a whole lot of it.
Yeah. This is not. This is that gentle. It harkens back to what I really liked about Sauvignon Blanc to begin with, and so I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 4 too.
All right, let's move on to wine number 2. Was this Sangiovese?
Yes.
I definitely like this. I think it would be great with any type of tomato dish. Would be absolutely lovely. I would also give this a 4 for $18. I think it's got enough different characters and flavors that are coming out in it. It's not overly drying. I think it would be very nice with a good Italian meal.
I honestly like it on its own. I would give it a 4 as well. I would say that it's a good sipping wine, and sometimes the Italian wines aren't. They require food. They're so dry or they're so acidic. This is not high on the acid side, which I like. It's a little bit milder. I like the tannins because I like my big bold cabs too.
Well, this is not a big bold tannic.
No. But I think somebody that likes a big bold cab, this would appeal to them.
Okay.
Those Tuscan type wines, they do tend to be the bigger, larger Italian wines, and this is representative of that. So if you know I'm a big bold California cab drinker and you want to try some Italian wines at a good price, this is a good one to start with.
Excellent.
All right, so that was just a quick, and if you want to hear more about the wines at Costco and Trader Joe's that we've enjoyed over the past year or so, check out episodes 92 through 95 of Wines to Find. We gave information on several of those, as well as some resources that we didn't discuss here. A little bit more information in those episodes on,
a little more details
on Costco and Trader Joe's and their processes. We hope that if you did enjoy this episode, you would share it with a family member or a friend that loves wine as much as we do. And we hope you'll join us next time on Wines to Find.